I promise to keep this series simple, so we're just gonna add just a touch of expression. Let's go! We're gonna jump in and tackle this text background, and fair warning, there will be a few simple expressions that I use. But if you need to, like with anything, feel free to use brute force to go through each layer and adjust the position. I know people can get queasy when it comes to expressions, but I want to show you a few basic ways that you can link properties together on different layers. Right now, the text is doing a great job of reinforcing the movement as it flies out at the screen, but we can make this more dynamic. So let's go ahead and open up our fill text comp. And remember, we had laid this out with 3 names, which was sufficient for the video that we were working on. But in order to make this move, I'm going to make it move from left to right. I feel like I need more names. So if I highlight the first one here and copy this, click at the very end, hit the space bar and paste, it's going to update all of my canvases, because remember we tied everything to the source text of this first name on each line. Do the same thing, double click, copy, hit the right arrow key to get to the very end, hit space and paste. And that gives us a lot more room to work with and reinforces why we made the choices that we made earlier to make our lives easier now if we needed to adjust it and change it. So I'm going to go in here and throw in a null object here. This is going to be a controller. So let's rename it that. And this controller, we can just call this exposition actually, because this controller is going to help us move from left to right. So let's highlight all of our layers and grab one of the pick whips, drag it to exposition, so they're all parented to this exposition. If I hit P and right click to separate dimensions, I only worry about the exposition here. So let's set a keyframe here on the beginning of X. 5 is more than enough of what we need, and we're just I'm gonna hold shift and drag to the left. So there we go. And remember, when we're working on this, we already have an effect, the warp effect, on the text. So when it comes out, I need to be on a fill. It's already going to have a little bit of variability there. So I don't need to do a ton here, but I don't like how all this is totally lined up. All the Candaces, all the Parkers, everything is 100% lined up. So we could go in here and hit P and hit P and adjust these. You can do it manually if you want, but I want to show you a shortcut that is probably one of the easiest expressions that you can use. So on my second layer here, if I pick whip up to this X position, it's going to be the same thing that we did with the Y, really. I'm saying, hey, take the X position of this layer, and then I want you to add 100 pixels to it. And you can see it moved to the right 100 pixels. And that's great. We could copy this and paste on all the others and keep going in and just pick whipping this. But remember that trick that we learned where we can replace this text with index -1. So we're saying in this comp, reference the layer that is 1 less than the current layer we're on. So reference layer 2 and take that X position and add 100 to it. And nothing happens or changes because it was just a new way to write this. But this new way to write this allows us to copy this expression and paste it. Command V on everything else, and it adjusts accordingly. Now, same thing with all of these down here. I can highlight them and paste the same expression. But you can see now we're in pairs. We're in twos, 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 twos. So what I can do to offset that is go up into the first Parker and hit P and paste that in here. And instead of index -1, I could do, I'm trying to get to 2. So it'd be 9 to 2 would be 7. So I could do index minus 7. And instead of 100, I want to change this to 50 because I'm just taking half of it. So now we kind of get this cascading effect down the front. Now we're in good shape. And what I'm going to do is just readjust my X position here so that I start with everything fully on screen here. And we're not going past on the other end. Great. And that just offsets everything just a little bit to make it feel like everything's not fully in line. Great. Love it. Love it. We need to do the same exact thing in stroke. So let's go in here and steal and copy as much as we can. So we can paste this controller. Make sure we're at the very, very front here. Highlight all these layers. I'm going to pick whip from one of them to parent all of them to the X position. And let's go back into fill. Click on the second one, hit P, right click, copy expression only on the X. Let's go into the player name stroke, and I can paste this on all of them. Except for Parker, Parker, Parker. The first one there. Oops. I'm not going to paste it on the first Candace either. There we go. And let me go in and steal the first Parker X, copy expression, go into the first Parker and paste, and that offsets everything. Hit P, and I can take this back as well. And the other thing that we need to do here, I'm noticing, is I didn't copy and add more names. So let's double click on the first one, copy, right arrow key to get to the end, hit spacebar and paste. And same thing with the Parker. Double click, copy, right arrow key, space, paste. Let's hit P. I wonder if I might offset this a touch. They felt really close together. I think that'll work. All right, just playing with that Parker one a little bit. Try and even them out so that the strokes didn't feel like they were on top of each other. And now we can see. Yeah, that feels good. Looks nice. And let's play it back and see where we are here. So like we've done a couple other times, we're going to reinforce this movement here of her moving. And I just want to trail the text just a touch. So let's go back in. And this last stroke is the only one that's live. I could highlight all these and Alt right bracket to turn them off. Except for the light blue one. And nothing changes. And I want to take this stroke. If I hit P, let's separate dimensions because I only care about the Y. And I can Control, Alt, Shift, and click to get rid of that X if I really feel like it too. So if I had a keyframe here, instead of totally following what I did here with this going down and then coming up, I actually want to counteract this and do the opposite so it feels like it's going further than it actually is. So let's go up a touch. And then I want this to move down. And it doesn't have to be a lot because we're just reinforcing the movement. It's just going to make it feel much better. So let's kind of mimic what we did. I think I pulled this back a touch so it comes here. I want it to stay and hang out here for a bit here. So let's pull that pretty far. A little bit more of a steep curve here at the end. So I need this curve not to be so far. And I'm just doing the inverse so that it feels like it's really reinforcing the movement. It's subtle. Super subtle, but it's enough. All right. So that is the background text.